All right, so I said that I was going to talk about Maisie separately. So, Maisie, I wanted to try and go into this with as much grace and understanding as I possibly could because I knew that when this accusation dropped, it had to have been incredibly triggering for your own traumas and also conflicting with the stance that you've always firmly taken in regards to the topic of SA and flat out just believing women no matter what. Um, Before you even made your video, some of the people I was talking with about all of this were curious where you might stand. And I said that I just knew you were a wild card because while you obviously know there was never any kind of SA or breach of consent between us, and you've always sang my praises in your community and about how safe I am and how I'm one of the few good guys and all that, I also knew that in the relatively short time that we knew each other, I've seen multiple times how quickly and drastically you can turn your back on people. Um, and when you've changed your mind about someone, there's no coming back from that. There's no grace in your heart. And we've talked about that. I just don't operate that way. Um, but in those cases, I've seen you twist things that only days prior you would list as positives and things that you loved and celebrated about someone, to now then be twisted and presented as somehow a negative now that you have beef with them. Recognizing that and some other toxic traits is part of the reason I started to keep you more at arm's length in the first place. And even when you made your video, some of your community has approached me and been like, this makes no sense. Like, how does she just throw away everything she said? Something's not right. Um, but I get it. It's a stance that you've discussed a lot on your platform and in your streams. And now you have to show that you hands down just believe accusers no matter what. But I was really disappointed and frustrated when I saw the approach you were taking in your video. You had to stretch incredibly far to try and be relevant to this conversation and to try and convince yourself and confirm your stance to support Golden. So we're going to break down what you've chosen to present. You base a lot of your argument and frustration around the idea that I told you I was single, and you found out that I had a partner the entire time. Um, we've had several conversations where we openly talk about our situations and what we want in relationships. And you even went on to explain one friendship you have where the other person is in an actual serious relationship, but you just mess around and it's no big deal because you're friends and you're attracted to each other and all that. So, firstly, don't pretend like that's suddenly a consideration of yours. And to pretend like I haven't openly stated that while no, I'm not in any official serious relationship, but if I were to consider it, it would be Sarah. And to now state that it hurt when you found out that I had a partner the entire time, you make it sound like you only just found out there was the possibility of other people and that there was some sense of exclusivity between us. This is a text message from September 13th, so decently early on in our friendship. I believe we were on one of your streams and we were building our Guardians. I think somebody was making a joke about like they're making theirs look like their future wife or future husband. And I was just saying that I was just memeing. I'm not actually making mine look like my future wife. I've never actually put in much effort into my gardens. And you laugh. And then I state my actual future wife, if I were to ever consider it again, is the lovely lady Sarah, who is just too good to me and has my heart. As much as I joke about dummies and step on me or could kill me and all that, tender, supportive sweethearts are the ones for me. And you say that's gay. And this was your reply to that. Again, this is September 13th, timestamp there. And you say, see, I figured, to be honest, in regards to it being Sarah. And you said, that's adorable. She's the fire lady, right? And knowing this, you still came and stayed with me at the end of the month, several weeks later, and we filmed more content together. And to try and make it sound like you were pursuing a serious relationship with me and I just manipulated and led you on, that's not the dynamic we even remotely had. Again, you were blatantly open about your other situationships or other pursuits. So what at all about our relationship should have led me to believe that you were pursuing me somehow differently?
Like, that's just what I do. I literally get most of my pajamas from every single time one of my male friends visits. I collect them like a little crow, like a little raven, but you don't see this champion of feminism commenting and being like, oh wow, it just seems like Maisie's using her streams or content creation to try to get all these handsome men. And I got it confirmed from because like, where do you find all these attractive men? And I'm like, hell, I don't know. But like, that's the thing that's bugging me, is because she could easily say the same damn thing about me. Easily. That's a lot of my stuff. That's why I held back on flirting so much on my streams, and why I was like, oh shit, I love this energy, because I wanted to do that energy with you on my streams, but I was too scared that like I was coming on too strong, because I do the exact same goddamn thing.
You pursuing me in any capacity and saying that I endorsed it almost, as you say, and never gave you a heads up. I can't read your mind. I cannot know where you were at and what you were expecting from the relationship when it seemed clear by everything else you brought up that our dynamic was no different than any of the other friends you could be intimate with. So I just thought that was a weird thing to try and frame your argument around as what you're upset about in regards to me. You go on to say that you went through old videos of us because you wanted to find those moments where my mask slipped. This is literally almost admitting that you never felt anything was off, but you wanted to go through and see if anything could be presented in a way that could look problematic. And that's just so deceitful. Our dynamic while shooting was always just go with the flow and improvise and come up with things on the fly. It was play. It was part of the reason we worked well together and could come up with some great ideas and build on things to tell these characters' stories.
Can I have another idea?
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
Like this? No, so like this, and then him just...
You'll kill them all.
I know.
You'll kill them all.
You are good though, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. Also, that's why I wear my boxers. Yeah. Right. I was gonna say, could it look accurate, like if in her sleep she just kind of does like a thing?
So to manipulate that with all of this presenter's bias of extra context of trauma and how terrified you were is just extremely misleading.
Sorry.
No, that was so fucking funny. I was just worried about my wig.
Okay, just a blooper.
Otherwise I would have tackled you. Oh my god, we never did the fucking tackle moment, but we could also do that in... If he was able to apologize immediately after doing that, he must have known it was wrong before he did it.
Applying that same logic, if you have to apologize, you must have known that it was not okay. So this was just prior.
No, I was just gonna say, just like impulsive, just... Yeah. Sorry, did you just flick my hand away? Okay, sorry, was that an okay joke?
We have work to do. No.
Okay. Is that a thing, though, that you don't like?
What?
This is me too.
No,
playing with it.
is hilarious.
Okay.
So yeah, we would improvise and go with a bit. But if you genuinely were uncomfortable in that moment, tell me. You've never had any issues ever in the past with telling me if something I did or something I said made you uncomfortable and drew a boundary there. You can see in the video, the part where you cut off, you don't skip a beat. You say, I would have tackled you back. And then you just go on immediately to like the next thought and the next idea of what we're going to do. Deceitful. Other example you give is, I feel like, almost even worse because you had to twist that so much to try and make that look bad. Even people who didn't know the context of that scene could tell what was happening. The point of the scene is that your character does not know that my character is standing there. So when she finally notices him, she startles and then puts her hood back on because she doesn't like people seeing her with her hood off. Previous take, you noticed me too soon, and so it wasn't what we were going for as far as her not noticing somebody and jumping. So I told you, okay, I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to signal you so that you're actually reacting to something. And again, you know that response that you give where you were so startled and I was so terrible activating your triggers, you were literally acting. And people saw that. So that's just Ugh.